First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh. In the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh. Alright, coming back again with another lesson. And in this lesson, it's going to kind of be of an expounding on my last lesson I did, which I went into 1 Corinthians. Alright, Shalom. Yeah, it's a lot. On my live stream got disconnected. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to pretty much expound on my last lesson that I went into, because I went into talking about basically pretty much dealing with the marriage of the unbelieving, alright, the unbelieving man, and dealing with the unbelieving wife, the husband and wife. But this lesson, I pretty much want to go into more expounding on also, because I'm gonna tie it all in, because basically, as the lesson says, leave behind an inheritance. It's pretty much, it's very important in Israel, being that leaving behind an inheritance, alright, is also a trait of our forefathers, because it's in the commandments, alright, that the Lord told the children of Israel, alright. He commanded the children of Israel to leave behind an inheritance, alright, for their offspring, alright. And pretty much I want to go into, because like I said, I'm gonna tie this into my last lesson, because I want to expound on it more. All right, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 14. It says, "For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy." Right. Now, also, alright, being that the Lord, alright, placed us, gave the children of Israel, called the children of Israel, Salat, by their name, by His name, right? Also, He set them in a land, alright, which the scriptures tell you that land is of milk and honey, right? Which is the motherland of us all, according to Galatians chapter 4 and verse 26. Alright. But also dealing with, the land, alright, because you gotta understand, the land was also part of the inheritance. Alright. Because every time Israel would go off, alright, and get put into captivity, alright, they were removed out of their land, alright, and dispersed into other lands, alright, surrounding, that were occupied or inhabited by the heathen, right? So we are no longer in the land, So being that, the inheritance, alright, was also the land, alright, because you got to think, without land, and this is vital, especially back during the ancient, right? You still need land, alright. Like if you want to have like a house, alright, you have to buy the land, and this is especially important within, because I'm speaking from, especially with my experience, alright, being that, I have family that are in the Caribbean, and being that when you have land, alright, you have a lot of different options. You are pretty much, your status is pretty much at a higher than the next family, alright, or the next person, because if you have land, you can pretty much live off that land, All right, you can grow crops. All right, you can have animals. All right, like I said, you can build houses. All right, you're entitled to what you pretty much can do. All right, being versus if you don't have any land, all right, you don't have nothing. All right, and so land has always been a means for survival. All right, and it was a thing that was considered to be an inheritance, all right, of our forefathers. The biggest part of inheritance of our forefathers was land, all right, because you can buy some jewelry, all right, you can buy a car, all right, but land is something that's not so easy to come by, all right, because people who have land, all right, for one, they pass it down to their children, all right, which is, you can even look at these Edomites and these other nations, all right, what they do with their land, all right, they give it to their children as an inheritance, and that's one thing that today in Israel, mainly, because from what I've seen, when a father dies, or the mother dies, whoever has the land, all right, the main thing I seen happening within all right, within Israel, you have they just leave the land, they leave everything in regards to the children to figure out, when the scriptures tell you, all right, that how you supposed to distribute among your offspring. Let me get the first scripture. Because the Lord told us how we're supposed to give to our offspring. And this is Deuteronomy chapter 21. And I'm gonna start at verse 15. It says, "If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn sons be heirs that was hated, Salah, then it shall be, when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn by giving him a double portion of all that he hath. For he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his." Right. So the firstborn, all right, is the beginning, all right, of the strength of his father, all right. And I think that's actually with the 12 tribes, Reuben was Jacob he actually said that about Reuben, because Reuben was Jacob's firstborn. Right. So, I mean, he was the beginning of his strength, right? Because that's your first seed, all right? That's the beginning of you leaving behind something on the earth, all right? All right, your lineage, all right? So he's supposed to be given a double portion, all right, of your possessions, all right, when you pass away, all right? And like I said, you don't see that a lot of times within the Israelite families, all right? Like I said, they usually, most of the time, just leave it, because the households are split up anyway, all right? Our households are divided, so therefore, most of the time, there's not even a father in the households, all right, to actually sit down and actually go over these type of things, all right, and tell the children, all right. But it's written in the scriptures, how it's supposed to be done, you know. And this is another reason why, we lack as a people, because, we don't have, very few of us. I mean, for the most part, you got some Jakes, all right, that have lands out in the country, all right. But like I said, it's not, the reason why our people, we don't succeed as far as in keeping that going, all right, is because we don't give to our offspring, all right. That's how these other nations have had lands for years and years and years, all right. It's passed down, And even if you don't have sons, or you don't have, a daughter, all right? Because if I'm gonna get into it, I'm gonna bring it out. Because if you don't have a son, all right, if a man didn't have a son, all right, he was commanded to give that to his daughter. If he wasn't to a daughter, all right, if he didn't have any children, he was supposed to give that to one of his he's supposed to give that to somebody in his family, all right. And pretty much it will move further to your distant kinsman, all right. So somebody still, regardless in your family, who's of your bloodline, who's of your kindred, all right, will still possess, and it would still be within the family, not given to another nation, all right. Because like I said, this ties into what I went into in my last lesson, being that, being you had our people going off, all right, and marrying, and taking wives and women of other nations that would influence them, all right, to play the harlot, all right, with the gods of the other nations. So therefore, the lands that they have over time will also get into the hands of other nations, all right, and that land will be defiled, So I'm gonna bring this out. This is the book of Numbers. I'm gonna start at this is chapter 27. I'm gonna start at verse 7. It says, "The daughters of Zelophehad speak right. Thou shalt surely give them a possession of an inheritance among their father's brethren." So like, to get to the point, to get to a better understanding, all right, I'm gonna jump up a few verses. I'm gonna start at verse 3, and it says, "Our father died in the wilderness, and he was not in the company of them that gathered themselves together against the Lord, in the company of Korah, but died in his own sin and had no sons. Why should the name of our father be done away from among his family? Because he hath no son? Give unto us therefore a possession among the brethren of our father." And Moses brought their cause before the Lord, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, "The daughters of Zelophehad speak right. Thou shalt surely give them a possession of an inheritance among their father's brethren, and thou shalt cause the inheritance of their father to speak unto them. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a man die and have no son, then ye shall cause his inheritance to pass unto his daughter. And if he have no daughter, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his brethren. And if he have no brethren, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his father's brethren. And if his father have no brethren, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his kinsman that is next to him of his family, and he shall possess it. And it shall be unto the children of Israel a statute of judgment, as the Lord commanded unto Moses. Right. So that backs up what I was just saying. All right. Because there were no children. If a man had no children, if he didn't have a son, it was to be passed to the daughter. If he didn't have a daughter, it was to be given to one of his brothers. If he didn't have any brothers, then he shall give it his inheritance unto his father's brethren. You know? Right. So, right. And then if his father had no brethren, then he shall give his inheritance next to him of his family unto his kinsman that is next to him of his family. Right. So that means like one of your distant, so like one of your cousins or somebody who's considered to be distant blood or so forth. All right. You know, somebody who's not of your close blood. All right. But they still were be an Israelite. All right. If they were an Israelite. All right. So, you know, somebody is still. Either way, all right, the land is still, like I said, being passed down within somebody of the nation, all right, because the land was not to be, if you had land, you cannot give your land away permanently, all right, and if you did sell your land, all right, it during the Jubilee years, all right, it will have to be given back, all right. Now, I'm going to just go to an example of basically what I just brought out. All right. You know. And this is with Jeremiah. All right. And this is Jeremiah chapter 32, and I'm gonna start at verse 6. And it said, and Jeremiah said, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, behold, Hanamel, the son of Shalom, thy uncle shall come unto thee, saying, buy thee my field that is in Ananoth, for the right of redemption is thine to buy it. So Hanamel, my uncle's son, came to me in the court of the prison according to the word of the Lord, and said unto me, buy my field, I pray thee, that is in Ananoth, Anathoth, which is in the country of Benjamin. For the right of inheritance is thine, and the redemption is thine, buy it for thyself. Then I knew that this was the word of the Lord, and I bought the field of Hanamel, my uncle's son, that was in Anathoth, and weighed him the money, even 17 shekels of silver. Right. So he bought this land, all right, which it says was a field, which is land, all right, and he bought it from his uncle's son, all right, which was like I read in Numbers, all right, it was somebody who was of the family, all right, right, your cousin, you know, so I mean, that's, you know, hey, hey, shalom, you know. So yeah, you know, I mean, this is an example of passing down inheritance, all right. And then, like I said, it's important that we learn that in this day and time, all right, in Israel, you know, because I mean, hey, like I say, if you don't got no land, you don't have nothing, you know, So I mean, with that, I hope this was edifying, and once again, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh. In the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. All right. Peace be unto the hopeful elect of the house of Israel. All right. And I want to say, Shalom.